can be innocent.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Nerd Relay. I'm Tom.
I'm Tim.
And we are about to talk about Batman v Superman. Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, starring, and I'm wearing my colors. I'm a Batman fan.
Yeah, so this was starring Michael Keaton reprising his role as Wait, wrong movie.
That's Birdman.
That's right. Who was in this?
Christian Bale, I think.
That's right, and he fought Bane.
Yeah, it was Bane.
God, it was so good too. It had these elements of just like this realism, this fantastic acting, and Nolan just killed it as his directing.
Wait, no. It's Ben Affleck.
Uh,
We are completely confused, apparently.
No, this was this was the Justice League.
No, it wasn't the Justice League. It was
Man of Steel 2.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, it was the setup for the Justice League.
Yeah, pretty much. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, that's essentially what this movie is about, is setting up the Justice League and giving us our first glimpse at Affleck as Batman,
who was the best part of the movie.
Best part of this movie. He destroyed it as Batman, which was exciting because I do like Affleck. I love Batman, and he just kills it.
I say he's probably got like the best suit of the bunch.
Oh, easy. It's like straight the Batman the Animated Series. It is so good. And
it's taken this long to get one that's the classic black and gray colors.
It's true.
I always loved that one. Although I didn't mind, the Nolan's Batman was very practical. I mean, he was wearing body armor. It made sense.
But for the realism of that series, that's what it needed. That's the point of it. Yeah, and even his Dark Knight Returns suit, which if you don't know is that big hulky metal suit that he wears.
His Iron Man suit.
His Iron Man suit, which is perfect. It is his Veronica, his Hulkbuster for when he's fighting Batman. Let's be honest.
Can we not talk about Age of Ultron?
Dang it. Can we?
No, we shouldn't.
Okay.
Because it's already bad enough that we're going to be talking about.
That's true.
Batman v Superman.
True. But last point there, the suit looks great. Everything about Batman looks great. They did a good job with it. So, anyways, let's not get off topic. Let's follow this here. What did you think as the movie as a whole?
I want to cry betrayal. I hated this movie, but it's not necessarily like pure unbridled hate like Fantastic Four, Fanforstic. It was more. You could see the makings of a good movie.
Yep. and I agree there. I think my problem is I'm just a huge DC nerd and comic nerd in general. So
he reads the comic books. I'm not a big comic book guy. I just got back into comics recently, so
there's elements of this movie that I absolutely loved just because they're from iconic comics that I've read in the past, and they did a pretty good job at portraying which ones they were going for. And I even enjoyed just the little bits and pieces throughout. But as a critic, when it comes down to the movie, it was lacking in some very critical areas.
In that it was barely a movie.
Pretty much. It was just a long setup for other movies, essentially.
It was a 2.5 hour long trailer for the Justice League.
With some sprinklings of what could have been a fantastic Batman versus Superman movie. But that's really the only thing that... Yeah. Anyhow.
Would you argue that this is actually more of a Batman film than a Superman film?
The thing is, this film is so many films. This film is a origin Batman movie. It's Man of Steel 2. It's set up for the Justice League or preview for the Justice League. It's... essentially those three movies all in one. You have the elements of Man of Steel 2, where Batman's retaliating because so much destruction was wrought. It's
not just Batman; it's the entire world in a way.
Not all of them though, because even Superman has that quote where he's like, "Not everybody in the world feels this way."
Well, exactly, but it's still. But
it's an element.
It's still a reaction to Man of Steel, which. I felt was actually really the best part. All the parts that did not involve any action. Not to say that the action wasn't fantastic, but I mean, I've been reading up a lot about the movie, just doing reviews, and they all talked about how this movie is slow.
It is slow.
Because it doesn't it's not devoting all of its time to really anything.
True. The intro to this movie, the very beginning scenes where you start off with Batman in Metropolis.
Love
the whole intro scene. God, it grips you instantly. It's such a good scene where you see. This is in the trailer, so it's not spoiler territory yet. But like the Superman fighting Zod, all this stuff. Batman Financial goes down in the beginning of it, and you see all of these people just get trashed.
That's that scene in the trailer that you see of Ben Affleck running into that dust cloud. I love that scene in the trailer, and I knew I was gonna love that scene in the movie, and that was definitely just one of the best scenes. Not only because it was just spectacularly shot, it was a really interesting kind of. I want to say mirror of what we saw in Man of Steel.
That's pretty much what it was.
Because, I mean, in Man of Steel, we were right there with Superman as he was tearing through Metropolis, fighting Zod.
And one of the biggest critiques of that movie was he's ripping Metropolis apart. And then it sort of had that, it got a great reaction from me anyways in the theater. So, let's tailor this down a little bit. Movie as a whole, the acting specifically, let's go through each character. Batman as Batfleck, or Batman as Batfleck, Ben Affleck as Batman.
Honestly, I was one of the first, when I first heard that Ben Affleck was playing, Batman, I was one of those people, just was like, nope, I saw Daredevil, I don't want him.
Let's not bring up Daredevil.
But eventually I kind of warmed up to him, especially after I saw his film Argo.
Argo was good.
It's obvious that his skills as an actor have definitely he's taken a level.
Yeah, he has some awesomeness. He's pretty dynamic now. He can do a lot of stuff.
But not only that, but he is cut to shit.
He's huge. He put on 20 pounds or something. I think he said. And there's even the
montage of him training.
He's huge. He's
I think I got a little hot and heavy.
Total man boner. Total man boner for that. Yeah. And I thought Affleck was easily he stole the show.
He was scary.
He was. The first scene of him, I was like, I won't spoil that for you, but the first scene was like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe
Are you talking about like when he's just going into Metropolis, or when he's taken on
the suit?
Yeah, he's returned to being Batman.
Yeah.
That was actually a really fantastic. I think we're gonna do a non-spoiler section and then a spoiler section. So if we're gonna do this is going to be non-spoiler, so don't worry.
Yeah, we'll try to bring this a little more concise here.
Yeah.
Either way, I think the consensus here is Ben Affleck as Batman is great in pretty much every respect. I wish that they would have just made a Batman movie after this. It sounds like Jeff Johns might be working with him, which we all know would be great. All right, Superman, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill was never a problem for me being Superman. I mean, a lot of people kind of scoffed when they first heard that. I mean, this British actor is going to be taken on.
The American icon.
I don't care. British actors can act millions of times better than most American actors,
and they can do it in an American accent better than Americans can do it.
Exactly. I mean,
look at Charlie Cox in Daredevil.
Exactly. So I had no problem. He looks the part.
Yep.
He's definitely. He just looks like Superman, and he acts like Superman.
Yep. He portrays Superman very well, just on every front.
He's extremely charming.
Yeah,
you like him. It's very easy to like. It
is. He shows the conflict of Superman that we're showing more in this series. Another part of this movie I like is the conflict within Superman, and seeing Cavill kind of take that on is great. So for the very small amount she's in the movie, Gal Gadot, I don't know how to say that. What'd you think of Wonder Woman as Gal Gadot? Even though it's very small.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
That's what I mean.
Well,
you know what I mean.
For me, again, it's... I can't honestly give a good judgment because, honestly, she's not in the movie all that much.
True.
She shows up in one scene, and she doesn't say a single line. Mm-hmm. And really, if you had just gone... Yes, she's a very beautiful woman. But I mean... If you were going into this film not knowing, which, I mean, it's practically impossible in this day and age. True. With the internet, everyone's talking about, oh yeah, she's going to be Wonder Woman, so you know she's going to be Wonder Woman. But I always like to approach films from a perspective of, if I didn't know anything going into this movie.
Like Star Wars?
Yeah, like Star Wars. Or, I mean, even from like a standpoint of like if I did know what, who Wonder Woman was and like her significance in the Justice League. Yeah. If I went in and watched this movie and the very first scene that she's shown, which is at this party, I mean that's not really spoilers. There's a ton of stuff where they're just going to. There's a lot of like posh dinners and parties in this movie, isn't there?
Just a bunch of rich people, it seems like.
but they just have her show up. And I'm like thinking, if I was just a normal person who didn't know anything about
a super nerd
about comics or anything, and I didn't know who Gal Gadot was playing, I'd be like, who is this? Is this going to be like an old flame of Bruce Wayne's? So from that standpoint, like the way they introduce her, it's almost, it felt like an afterthought, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
Much like how everything is treated when it isn't dealing with Batman or Superman, when it's dealing with introducing the Justice League or really anything else. It's all just, it's like they were ticking off, checks in a checklist, like, okay, we got Wonder Woman, we've got the reference to the Justice League.
This movie seems like a checklist movie. Like, they had things they needed to do, so they just did it. And that was the way they were going to go with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least, actually, to be honest with you, Lex Luthor. Jesse Eisenberg.
Okay, well, I was, again, going back to when they first announced Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. It wasn't a strong reaction like it was when I first heard about Ben Affleck. Yeah. Because Jesse Eisenberg's past work before this was fairly solid. I loved him in Zombieland.
He was great
in Zombieland.
Great in Zombieland.
In The Social Network, he was really good.
I never saw that, but I heard he was good. He was in that one magic movie, Now You See Me, or something like that.
But here's the thing. There's a obvious problem, and it is in this movie, and that's the fact that really Jesse Eisenberg does not play other characters. He plays himself.
Yeah.
He's
not
always talking very, very flamboyantly, and he's kind of got almost like Jeff Goldblum in a way.
Kind of very like a niche, quirky, And I think his main line in this movie is
the best way to describe him as Lex Luthor in this movie is he's a cartoon character.
Pretty much. He seems like something from an animated series.
He's chewing the scenery so much in this movie that it was... I mean, I didn't know if they were intentionally trying to make him funny, but there were points where I'm just like, is this really what they're going for?
Because he never got to the point of menacing to me or scary at all.
He didn't even come off as all that intelligent.
No, he really didn't. And I expected him to sort of show when he was with people that he would be the sort of weird, quirky guy to hide it, and then when he was away from people or in hiding, he would be very stern and serious and try to get to the bottom of things or set up this conflict, and it doesn't. He's just a quirky dude throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, he's just this weird cartoon character that chews the scenery and
does this a lot.
Bryan Cranston should have been cast.
We all know it. He probably denied this movie. And then side characters, I thought they had more lines than most of the main characters in this movie.
I know. A lot of I just have to go ahead and just gush. Jeremy Irons as Alfred Pennyworth.
Killed it.
He was the best character. Apart from Ben Affleck as Batman, Jeremy Irons was just fantastic.
The relationship and everything with Batman, really, but the relationship with Jeremy Irons and Ben Affleck just... Oh, I want that movie. I want a new Batman movie to be that sort of dark, kind of left of center, not Nolan version of Batman, because it's good. They did a very good job with it, and Irons kills it.
It's just one joke, and it's when he's just kind of talking. I think he's leading Bruce through the building when he's trying to do the thing. Trying to be vague, but he's constantly talking about it. He's trying to get Bruce. It kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises.
When Morgan Freeman?
Well, when Alfred and Morgan Freeman are trying to get Bruce to have a normal life.
Yeah.
I mean...
the girl, he's blonde quip,
Yeah, he's just like, you can, find a nice metropolis woman.
And she'll turn you honest.
And turn you honest and have a second generation of Waynes. And he's just like... Oh, who am I kidding?
He's like, he just Alfred can wish kind of thing.
He's just like, it's like, Bruce, I love you, but I know this is just a hopeless dream of mine.
Yeah. Plus, he's a lot older now. And
honestly, I think that was one thing that kind of threw me off because they play up the idea that Bruce Wayne has been out of it for a while. I mean, you saw it in the trailer. You have the Robin costume, the Joker's spray painted. The joke's on you, Batman.
Joke's on you.
So obviously, there's there is a hint of another movie that happened before this, and something serious happened, which
something I'm very interested in.
Because it explains probably one of the, I wouldn't say controversial, because it's honestly I didn't find it that big of a problem, because I think they explain it, or at least they hint at it well enough, which is the fact that Batman straight up murders people in this movie.
Yes, he does. And that's a great segue.
He's using guns. He kills it. He immolates people in this movie.
Yes,
he blows them up.
And that's a great segue into the tone of this movie.
I'm guessing you have some things to say.
I do. I am a sucker for, and don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for Zack Snyder's tone of movies. I think that the idea of how he wanted this portrayed...
How would you describe his tone?
Dark. Dark, but kind of artistic. He does things where, like... I'll talk about it in spoilers because I can't.
I would say I kind of know what you're talking about, because I felt it especially in the opening scene of the movie.
That's what I was gonna. In fact, let's just reference it. We'll do it now. There's a scene where when Batman gets his family killed. If that's a spoiler to you, you're way behind the times.
What? His family dies?
Right. And so you have the criminal come up and he turns and he's looking at the comedian.
It's very...
not the comedian.
Yes, the actor played the comedian in Watchmen.
Yeah.
And also his mom was Maggie from The Walking Dead.
It was Maggie, yeah. But it's very artistic, very stylistic. But there's a scene after he kills the dad where he looks and he's like pulling the pearl necklace off of Maggie? Martha? Maggie.
Maggie's her real name.
I know, John's saying Maggie. And it goes to first person from her perspective, and you're looking down the barrel of a gun, and you're pulling these pearl strings.
How is it first person? Because the necklace was kind of if her eyes are in her neck,
that's true.
It would look like.
But it's almost first person.
It's a perspective shot. It's a semi-perspective shot of the gun with the pearls wrapped around it.
Yeah. And there's this dark music going, and that's kind of, I like Snyder's It
reminded me a lot of Watchmen. Especially like the bit where the comedian dies. It's kind of funny because the comedian dies in both of these scenes.
I know, but I like his tone. I like how dark it is. I like that he takes things. He attempts to take things emotionally seriously, and if the story would portray that, he has the. I see the ability for them to build on these characters and make me really feel for them with everything encompassed together with tone, music, and everything. There's just things in the movie that don't allow me to get to that point.
Yeah, and I think again, I don't want to place the blame squarely on Snyder, because I'm pretty sure that it's obvious. It's a hodgepodge of different people clamoring to climb that mountain that Marvel has pioneered.
But all I'm saying is that everything mixed together, not even just the beginning, that was just an example, but throughout the movie, the tone of the movie and the darkness of it, the sort of gritty realism that it has.
I'd say it was darker than Man of Steel.
Oh, much darker. In certain areas, much darker. And then
Batman straight up murdering people in this movie, so...
When it lightens up and you have this sort of set music and you have these scenes coming in, I see the potential, especially when you're looking at Superman after something happened and he says some line, whatever it is, and then the Batman theme plays the dom-dom. Oh my god. It has the ability...
No, that's a Superman theme.
That's what I meant. It has the ability to...
Honestly, did Batman have a theme in this?
I don't know.
Because that was one thing I was really curious to see. Because
it was kind of like the lower, darker version of Superman's theme.
I guess that was it. But I was kind of hoping that we would get another iconic
tune-up.
Something that it just when you heard it you knew Batman.
Yeah.
Because again, Hans Zimmer is scoring this.
He scored this, right?
Yeah, he did. And I was curious to see what he was going to do, because he's already scored 3 other Batman movies.
Yeah.
How was he going to approach a new Batman? Was he going to kind of borrow some elements from his previous works, or was he going to do something new? And honestly, I mean, I'm not that musically inclined, but it felt like there was something lacking. I didn't feel like there was a Batman theme. There was
The theme I liked, which is unfortunate because I hated the character, but Lex Luthor's theme is a great evil variation on, because I am musically inclined, on Superman's. Superman's is that 2-note, or 4-note, I guess, the bon-yah, bon-yah, and Lex Luthor's is just like bon, you, and so like as he's taking steps into this place that we can't spoil for you, as he's taking these steps, it's like boom.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Boom, yeah, and it's really good. I liked his theme a lot. It was kind of menacing. He wasn't menacing, but it was menacing.
Well, it kind of brings up a thing, and I feel like we can say it because because he shows up in the trailers too. Because obviously. Lex Luthor gets a hold of Zod's corpse. I think Zod's corpse had more menace in this movie. His
Michael Myers face when he's in the water.
Oh yeah, I don't know why, because they had him in the credits. Either because it's like we're just gonna use your likeness, but it's like how come we couldn't just get the actor? I mean, sure he's gonna be a corpse.
Yeah.
But that was a fake.
It was
fake
so
looking face.
fake.
It was so fake that it looked like Michael Myers.
He had an article way before the movie came out, and he was like, "No, I'm not in Man of Steel. They haven't even called me for it. Apparently, they're using me, but I haven't heard anything about it." And you could tell because it looked ridiculous.
It did. It looked fine in some instances, but there was one particular scene where they spent so much time on it that you could just tell that it was just a rubber dummy.
I had no idea I was watching a Halloween movie.
Which I want to segue into the effects.
Okay.
They kept flip-flopping for me.
It was either really good or really subpar.
It was really subpar. Pretty much anything with the Batmobile I felt sucked.
There was some really bad Batmobile.
It was...
The Batwing looked okay, but the Batmobile was a little clunky.
Yeah, the Batwing looked okay. The Batmobile, when it wasn't a practical vehicle, it
looked weird. It jiggled.
It looked weird. It would bounce off walls in unrealistic ways.
But when it was real, it looked fantastic.
Oh,
it looked so good.
Yeah, it was kind of a great amalgam of the classic look of the Batmobile with the tumbler from The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It still felt very powerful and menacing, but it still had the angular shapes and looks of like the wings and whatnot. So that was a really cool design. But yeah, the effects were just absolutely horrific. And again, this should not be a spoiler because they already spoiled it in the trailer. Fucking Doomsday.
Yeah.
He was a giant CGI turd.
He looked weird.
I would have preferred if they had just gotten one of the Ninja Turtles, because that was one of the trailers before was for the new Ninja Turtles.
That also
movie.
looks like crap. But
I would have preferred that if Donatello just jumped out of the Kryptonian ship.
They looked pretty similar. He looked like a troll. He looked like a cave troll.
That was the comparison a lot of people on the internet were making, was that he looked like the cave troll from the Lord of the Rings.
And he did.
And he did.
And they didn't adjust that at all. It almost felt like there were effects in this movie that were there at the beginning and they worked really hard on, so you couldn't really tell there were effects.
So you feel like maybe they had to rush it?
It feels like it. And then some effects were like, how is this not... Like, you have the bat suit later on when he's wearing all-metal bat suit. There was obvious CGI pieces there. Even Superman when he's flying around is CGI, and
they were
CGI,
seamless.
But they were great. And then you have certain sections where you're like, this looks like garbage. Like, Doomsday looks like garbage. Doomsday's effects look like garbage. Doomsday's laser beam looks like garbage. But then everything else, like Batman when he CG looks good, Superman when he CG looks good, buildings when they're blowing up and their CG looks good.
Some of them.
Yeah, true. But ultimately, there was just some scenes.
There's a scene where when Batman crashes the Batmobile into a boat that's just because they're in like the harbor, and there's just this boat that's just on the dock. It's not in the water or anything, and he crashes into it, and then he shoots his way out. That just looks so hokey.
Yeah.
It would be hilarious to like later find out if it was just like practically done, because I don't know how come a movie that could practically bankrupt a small country
can't have effects.
Can't. I mean, not necessarily. How come they can't just get a boat and drive a car through it?
Right, or just the front of a boat, and just show the front of the boat and drive a car
just the front of a boat. Have some squibs or even real bullets or whatever, and then drive a car through it.
Do you know the budget offhand of this movie?
I'm pretty sure that it was around like the 300 million mark. Right. I don't know why.
More money than I can even imagine. But yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna do well, because a lot of people are just gonna go because they want to see Batman fight Superman.
And that's it's an ace in the hole almost. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to address in the non-spoiler before we move on?
A couple things. I feel just the editing in this movie.
Oh, the pacing. Okay,
the pacing, which I kind again we can kind of squish it together into the tone. The pacing's all over the place. There are instances when they'll jump to a character for one scene and then they'll jump back to a previous character.
It's very Watchmen-like in the fact that it's like Watchmen had a reason to do it. But
well, yeah, they had the non-linear
character,
thing,
character.
and they did try to do in some instances. There was a really interesting scene that tried to do it. Honestly, it felt like they were still trying to mock Nolan's style, because that was one issue I did take with Man of Steel, was that even though Christopher Nolan was on board as producer, he wasn't filming it, he wasn't directing it, but they wanted that look, and that look entails some non-linear editing and storytelling.
Yeah.
Because there's a point where Lex Luthor is trying to get into the Kryptonian ship. He's trying to barter like an entry visa into the ship. And he's also trying to get Zod's body, and he's I could talk about this scene and just how wrong it was. Yeah, he's talking with like the general that's like in charge of like guarding the Kryptonian ship.
Oh yeah.
And like
I don't know.
I think it was supposed to be like somewhere in LexCorp, because I'm pretty sure they had this ridiculous neon sign that just said LexCorp.
Yeah,
like,
right next to a basketball.
And it looked exactly like something like out of a mall. It looked like a strip mall or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
It looked terrible. It was a terrible background, and he just pulls out this jar of Jolly Ranchers. If you were mad at the ridiculous amounts of product placement in Man of Steel, you're gonna hate this movie even more, because like they have just some really ridiculous shots. There's one where Lois is in the bathtub, which was probably one of my more favorite ones for obvious reasons. But she like reaches over for I don't know what, but it was just to show off the bottles of Olay she has. Oh, yeah. It was just like, really?
There's even in a scene later when Wonder Woman's looking at a thing I can't talk about yet, and it's just like this guy's like, oh, I need to write some notes right next to my Dr. Pepper. And you're like, oh, God.
Really? Was there that? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's very obvious.
But yeah, so he pulls out this bowl of Jolly Ranchers, and I'm like thinking that they're like trying to do this thing where they're either trying to show he's just really crazy, or I don't know how you make Jolly Ranchers menacing. You don't. They failed.
Doesn't even matter if the flavor's cherry. Nothing about that is menacing.
It was just so terrible. And like he's like, I want access to the Kryptonian ship, and the guy's just like, okay. And then it cuts to him going into the Kryptonian ship. I'm like, oh, so okay, we're going on with the scene. We're gonna see what he's gonna do, and he's going in to the Kryptonian ship, swiping the cards and everything, and then it jumps back again, and it was just like, oh wait. No, we're going back. Oh, that was weird.
And I want Zod's body.
Yeah, he's like, and I want Zod's body. And it's like, okay, here's the thing. When Nolan does editing stuff, like when he does that, it doesn't feel jarring. Yeah. It doesn't feel jarring, and mostly because he'll usually do it where it's, at least from what I can recall of his movies, it's always present to past, and then we jump back to the present.
Yeah, and then future's always seems like it's just in its own line, and this one was like forward jump,
and then just back. It's like, oh wait, no, now we need to say like, oh, he's gonna get Zod. I'm like, it took me out. There was a lot of things that took me out of this movie, and because again, in the beginning, you're gripped. You're like, okay, Batman's gonna be trying to save the people that are trying to survive this destruction between two godlike forces, and I was just like invested. And then things like this would happen, and I would just realize I'm sitting in a movie theater. I'm not in Metropolis. I'm not in the Batmobile. Yeah.
It pulls you out of the immersion.
It pulls you out.
There's a lot of those jumps in this movie just between characters that happen, especially at the beginning, and you like almost get to a point where you're like, okay, character development, then it's like, next character. You're like, oh, we're back to Superman. Okay. Then it starts up something, next character, back to Lex, and it just jumps a lot.
And I think, again, that brings up another thing that I think we can kind of squeeze into the last portion of this half of the review, which is the writing and how they handle the characters. Okay. I don't think they handled the characters really well, despite the fact that Ben Affleck...
The people acted the characters really well.
They had good performances, and they did well with what they had, but overall, they do not handle the characters right at all. I'm not saying like they make Superman do something that you feel like he wouldn't do. Yeah. It's just there is no payoff. They try and set up an arc, which we'll get into in the spoiler section, which is, having to deal with Batman and where he is at this point in his life. And I felt like they were going to do something really interesting, because they're going to bring in Superman, and it's going to make him reevaluate his values, and they just sum it up. They solve the issue that this arc presents in just
like 2 lines.
Just 2 lines, and then they're all buddy, and it's just like really. It's really ridiculous how they do it, and we'll get into that in the spoiler section.
And it had the ability to have a great arc, especially from the beginning, but it just didn't pay off the way that I would have liked it to.
Yeah.
I don't know if we even got enough time with any of them to really be like, yes!
No, and this movie definitely had that problem, is that they had too many characters doing too many things, and you couldn't focus on enough of them. Like, I honestly think they shouldn't have had Wonder Woman in it. They could have just hinted, like do a post-credits scene of...
a shield.
Yeah, a shield or whatever.
Some gauntlets.
You argue that Lex Luthor wasn't necessary in this movie.
I do.
I actually disagree. I think he would have been like the good, like the whole idea of what they were trying to have him do in the movie. I appreciated it. I felt like it would have worked, but they didn't need Doomsday.
No.
They absolutely did not need Doomsday.
They
didn't need a cave troll for Superman and Batman to team up and fight.
Yeah.
Because especially I don't even know. I mean, you're a fan of the comics. Would you say that the way they treated Doomsday was completely
No.
I didn't have any gravitas, no threat. No. He is just a big blob monster for the good guys to fight at the end.
He's a big muscular guy for them all to team up because they needed to have the Trinity team up. You don't know what the Trinity is? It's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They needed to have it, and so they gave Doomsday his shot, I guess, but no. Not very good close to the source material at all. And he's just sort of a hulking dumb monster instead of having any intelligence at all.
Yeah, he's an after effect.
Yeah.
Or an afterthought.
Yeah. Either way. But I think we've hit every point that we can in the non-spoiler territory.
Okay, so we're gonna...
So we'll transition here.
We'll meet you all again in the spoiler filled section of the video. So, yeah, if you haven't seen... I think... Would you recommend Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice?
From my nerdy perspective, I think it's worth a look just because there's some scenes that are fun. So yeah, I would, just to see it, because it is yes.
I would rent it.
Yeah, maybe.
Or if it shows up on Netflix, or if you're really just wanting to see like the good parts, just like wait for the movie to come up on YouTube, bits of it, and just look at the good bits.
Yeah.
Somebody's probably going to do a fan edit where it's just Batman or just Superman. They're just going to have
a 30-minute Batman movie.
the Batman cut, the Superman cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated this movie. I think it failed because with a movie with a title called Batman vs. Superman, you needed this to be an epic movie. It wasn't. It was a 2.5 hour long trailer for a Justice League movie that we won't get for 3 years or
like 2019, 2018, 2019.
Yeah, I don't know when they're coming out, but yeah. So it's like you might as well just watch the trailers. You get the story from the second trailer that they put out.
I didn't realize that the trailers were so transparent, but they pretty much give you everything you need to know. Like everything happens in the trailer. Every big scene in the movie happens in the trailer.
Exactly, and it's like all the best parts apart from Doomsday happen in those trailers.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't recommend it.
All right.
It's definitely a rental.
Star rating.
A star rating?
Yeah.
Okay. I would give Batman vs. Superman 2 stars out of 5.
2 out of 5. Okay. As a geek, I'd give it 3.25 out of 5.